Now let us look at indirect object. So what is an indirect object? For a sentence to have an indirect object, there should always be a direct object. Now, students, in our last video, I told you that in a sentence, there has to be a direct object, and a direct object can exist without an indirect object. Okay, you have to keep this in mind. Okay, in a sentence, it is necessary to have a direct object, and a direct object can exist, okay, without an indirect object. But there can never be an indirect object without a direct object. So this is the reason, no, we say, we remember the transitive and intransitive verb. So sentence which have an object is called transitive, and sentence which do not have an object is called intransitive. So so here, coming back to our topic, an indirect object cannot survive, cannot exist without a direct object. A direct object can exist without an indirect object, but without a direct object there can be no indirect object, because it is through the direct object that the indirect object receives the action. Okay, so without indirect object there is no, without direct object there is no indirect object. So let's look into the picture, into the slide. An indirect object usually comes before a direct object. So here, an indirect object usually comes before a direct object. Okay, it answers the question to whom or for whom. Okay, now remember this, indirect object answers the question to whom and for whom. The action of the verb is performed. Okay, so to whom or for whom, the action of the verb is performed. It is the one receiving the direct object. So here, even in this example, identify first the subject and the verb in the sentence. So what you need to do first is to identify the subject and the verb in a sentence. Next, identify the direct object. Then you can ask the question for whom or to whom is the action of the verb performed. Okay, remember this. So let us look at an example. Like what we did with all direct object, we need to identify first the subject and the verb in the sentence. So here we have the subject as my friend and the verb as gave. Next, we need to identify the direct object. Okay, now see, we are trying to identify, now we have learned what is direct object. Okay, now we know how to identify direct object. Now in order to identify an indirect object, first of all what you need to do is to identify the subject, verb and the direct object first. Okay, now identify the direct object. Next, after identifying the direct object, ask the question to whom or for whom the action is performed. So here, my friend gave his girlfriend a diamond ring. Here the subject, once again I'm repeating, here the subject is my friend, the verb is gave. Next, identify the direct object. Now our work is to identify first the direct object, right? But we have a problem in the sentence because there are two objects. Now class, to be an object, I don't know how many of you remembers, but I have already told you to be an object in a sentence, it has to be a noun or pronoun. Okay, it has to be a noun or pronoun. So coming back to the example, we have a problem here, and the problem is we have two nouns. Okay, we have two object, or we can say we have two object, that is his girlfriend and the diamond ring. Now see, both are nouns, right? So they are objects. So what could be the direct object? What do you think? Well, if you can remember, with direct object we can ask the question what or whom, right? So what did my friend give? What's the answer? What did my friend give? A diamond ring. Now here, so therefore the diamond ring is the direct object. Now we can say that the diamond ring is the direct object because we're asking what, right? Now for the second object, ask the question for whom or to whom is the action of the verb performed. So for whom was the action performed? For whom? My friend gave his girlfriend a diamond ring. So the action of giving a diamond ring was performed for whom? For his girlfriend, right? So therefore the word girlfriend is our indirect object, and it is also the one who is receiving the direct object. Now see, who is receiving the direct object? Who is receiving the thing? Direct object, a diamond ring. Who is receiving? His girlfriend. So the indirect object is receiving the direct object. So here we can say that the word girlfriend is the indirect object. Okay, now let us look at another example. The teacher gives her students a lot of homework. The teacher gives her students a lot of homework. Now here, what did the teacher give? Homework, right? What did the teacher give? Homework. And the next question, to whom? To whom did the teacher give? To the students. So here, homework is the direct object and students is the indirect object. Similarly, one more example again. Tim gives the homeless man some money. Now here in this example, we have the subject as Tim, we have the verb as gave, and we have the direct object as money. So here, ask a question. What did Dim give? Dim gave some money. Now some money is the direct object, and to whom did Dim give the money? To the homeless man. So here the homeless man is the indirect object. All right, students.